How's it going, guys? What a crazy ass race. That was insane. And we gotta talk about it. I'll try to catch you guys up if you didn't see it. I feel bad that you didn't see it. But man, that was a long race. It was an insane race, and let's just talk about it. So we're gonna go in depth like we usually do with the stage points, the stage results, everything that happened. Now, there was so much that happened in this race, so if I miss out on anything or I miss out a detail on your driver, I apologize about that. I'm just gonna say that right now. There's a lot that happened, so let's go. Stage 1, the racing was good. There's not much to really talk about because, you know, restrict plate racing, it's hard to describe how everything happens. If there's always action going on. The Fords decided to do a little bit of pit strategy to get themselves up towards the front with the way cautions fell. Now, we had a wreck during pit stops, which was involving Jamie Mack, and it was all his fault. He admitted to it, but this is going to really hurt his chances. Kyle Busch just got through, but also it hurt the track position for many drivers, such as Chase Elliott and Dale Earnhardt Jr. and guys like that. When they were coming down pit road was closed before they got to the line, so they were penalized, had to go to the back, and that's where the Fords were able to move up and get that strategy. But I'll just go straight to the stage results. So we have Keselowski, Logano, Blaney, Stenhouse, and Jimmy Johnson rounding out your top 5, with Clint Bowyer, Michael McDowell, Kurt Busch, Trevor Bayne, and Casey Kane in the top 10. So you can see a couple, there's 4 playoff drivers in there in Keselowski, Blaney, Stenhouse, and Jimmy Johnson. But you do have guys such as Larson, Elliott, Harvick, Truex, Kyle Busch, Jamie Mack, and Matt Kenseth not earning any stage points. That is important to keep in mind because stage points are just they're so important. So let's go to stage 2. Stage 2, Denny Hamlin's ass was saved by a caution. There was a debris caution where Denny Hamlin had a loose wheel and he basically had a pit while he was on pit road. He was able to get the caution come out for him and basically save the lap. That's important as well for later in the race because there's so many details I'm missing probably right now. I'm so sorry. The rest of stage 2 was also very calm. I think the stages were about 55 laps in length, so it wasn't that crazy. Before we move on to the final stage, I'll just show the finish to stage 2 right here.
Coming into the trial for the final time of stage 1. Down at the bottom, Brad Keselowski with the advantage. Keselowski will win stage 1.
The stage 2 results, Ryan Blaney wins it with Keselowski, Bowyer, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch rounding out your top 5, Austin Dillon, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin rounding out your top 10. So definitely more playoff drivers. You got Blaney getting his playoff point and his 10 points. Then you got Keselowski doing very well again, got the first stage win, now finishing second here. Chase Elliott gets 7 playoff points, good for him. And Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin all getting playoff points there. The guys who don't get any stage points, Larson, Truex, Kenseth, Jamie Mack, they do not get any stage points. Again, keep that in mind for the standings that we'll show later on. Now let's move on to the final stage. There's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start. I have my phone right here, got some notes, so I'm trying to keep in mind. But pretty much the first thing I want to mention is that Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney are twats when it comes to blocking. Now, I mean twat in a good way because I love Chase and I love Ryan Blaney. Those two guys are great, but they are insanely aggressive when it comes to blocking. They somehow do it without wrecking, so I don't know how they do it, but they do it without wrecking. But they are incredible twats. I know if I was running behind one of them and they pulled off some of the blocks on me, I would not be very happy with either one of them. They block with no mercy, no regard. It's pretty incredible to watch. They're incredibly aggressive. I think those two are going to win a lot of restrict plate races in the future. So let's just keep talking about the race. Brad Keselowski with radio issues. So Brad K was running up front most of the race, but then he had a pit with around 33 laps to go. This was because he had radio issues. He pitted from 4th. He couldn't hear his spotter. So if you tried driving around Talladega without hearing your spotter or crew, that is very, very hard. So they took the time, put an antenna on the top of the car, got their radio back. And that was that for Brad Keselowski. We're around 30 laps to go at this point. Then it happens. It was spewing the entire race with all the blocking that was going on in the front of the field. The reason why this stuff happened is because the amount of blocking that goes on in the front of the field can really just backtrack everyone and stack everyone up throughout the field. So you have the 38 and Truex. They get together, they cause the big one, and there's a bunch of drivers that get involved in this. I mean, a lot of drivers. So I wrote it down, so who gets involved? So Jimmy, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Truex, Stenhouse, and Kenseth, all playoff drivers, all involved. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, they all make it through. I'm just adding Dale Earnhardt Jr. because everyone wanted, Jr. to win this race, so that's very important. But Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, they make it through, which was incredible. Brad Keselowski making it through was very good.
Four in front of you, slow pie, slow pie, slow pie. Car pie, come through.
and Dale Jr. making it through. He did a great job. So I'm just going to play that clip right now.
Back pretty big here. 11's in trouble. Keep coming. The jamming up. Keep going. Low. Come on. Low. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming if you can. I cannot see you.
Chase Elliott, Blaney, and Kyle Larson were all in front of the wreck, so the wreck happened behind them, so they were able to escape with no further damage. Now, after this wreck, you could tell there's just not many cars left on the track, so, you know, it's going to be a kind of a weird race. Before the second wreck happened, I just want to show this one move by Chase Elliott, which was great. It was a fantastic move. Reminded me of 2004, the Pepsi 400 with Dale Earnhardt Jr. when he went 3 wide on, I think it was Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but incredible move by Chase. Before Ryan Blaney gets involved with Joey Logano in a wreck. And those two, Logano's not out of it, but Ryan Blaney was out of it. Kevin Harvick, who somehow fixed his car just a little bit, runs into Ryan Blaney as the wreck ends. So Ryan Blaney out of the race, along with Truex, along with Kyle Busch, Stenhouse, all those guys. They're all out of the race at this moment. Kenseth is still running around limping. Harvick was limping around until this. Then he was out of the race as well. Jamie Mack already out of the race. There's just so many guys that got pretty poor finishes. But because all of them finished poor, it wasn't that big of a hit for some guys. Now, before I play the next clip, as we get another restart and we have another wreck involving some of the leaders, before I play the clip, I want to play one clip from Ayrton Senna. Everyone knows this clip, but if you haven't seen it, here you go.
You should know that by being a racing driver, you are under risks all the time. And by being a racing driver means you are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. Because we are competing to win. And the main motivation to all of us is to compete for a victory.
Well, keep that in mind. You know, just think about that. Think about what he said. And now watch this. So we have Daniel Suarez, we have Chase Elliott. They get together along with Kyle Larson. They were 3 wide heading in a 3. Chase Elliott hits the wall hard. I mean, really, really hard. And they get involved in it. Dale Earnhardt Jr., again, somehow is able to get through it. I'm not exactly sure how, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets through it. But the main reason why I wanted to say here is I feel kind of bad for Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson because they kind of knew what they were doing. Now, Daniel Suarez, it's not that I'm hating on Daniel Suarez. I love Daniel Suarez, really good race car driver, but he's not up towards the front. He was not up towards the front this entire race, pretty much. He's not really one of the guys like Blaney or like Keselowski, Logano, Dale Jr., Chase Elliott. They're not; those guys usually run up front. They block the most. They're used to it. They know what they're doing. Daniel Suarez wasn't really near the front, so he didn't have a lot of experience. The first mistake he made, which I'm going to slow it down right here. The first mistake he made right here, as you can see, is he made the gap. He showed the gap. The gap is there for Chase Elliott. Larson is holding his line on the bottom. Chase has to go through that gap. He just has to. It's for the win. We have like 5 laps to go at this point. And with such little cars, you have to go for the gap. You have to try to make a move. If you have that run and you stop that run, you'll go back. You'll get passed behind you. So you got to do it. And Daniel Suarez comes down and takes them all out. And again, it sucks for Chase Elliott. I mean, the kid's doing everything great. He's awesome. He's doing a great job. He's very aggressive. Sometimes I don't agree with the moves he makes, but he's very aggressive. But this one, I mean, what can you do? It's not his fault. Knowing Chase Elliott, he'll say it's his fault somehow, but it's not his fault.
If you're not going to go for that hole, then you're not going to win this race.
After that wreck, we only had about 3 laps to go, so the race restarts, and it's pretty much Brad Keselowski, Ryan Newman, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano with a beat-up car, and Trevor Bayne with a beat-up car as well. And that's pretty much it. Casey Kane with a beat-up car. There were so little cars running at the finish. I've never seen anything like it. I think the only thing that I can compare it to, there was a Daytona race back, I think it was either 2009 or 2010, somewhere around that area. It was the Coke 0400 at that time. Don't remember the exact year. I think it might have been 2010, where there were such few cars running. I don't remember who won that race, but all I know is I think Gordon was trying to win it with Casey Kane trying to win it, stuff like I don't know. I don't know who won the race, but I think that was it. Now there are just so few cars running at the end of this race. But let's watch the final lap pretty much, and you can see here, Brad Keselowski gets a huge run. He's able to get to the side of Ryan Newman, side draft him.
Final time, Keselowski on the high side, trying to take the lead away. Side by side as they exit 4. The tricky triangle there.
And come down the front straightaway. Get a little bit squirrely, but he's able to hold on to it, and Brad Keselowski would win at Talladega. He advances to the round of 8. Which is good for him. He kind of needed it because I don't think he needed the win. He could have probably finished around somewhere in the top 10, but this just guarantees that he's going to go through. And I'm just kind of glad Ryan Newman didn't win, just because, I don't know. It would have felt weird if Ryan Newman won, to be honest. I don't have the race results in front of me, but I'm going to put them right up there. I'm not seeing them at the moment, so I can't really tell you who finished where, but I'll just show you guys the results. I kind of know in my head the playoff drivers that had good results and bad results. I know Greg Gaulding finished 9th. I was tweeted about that because that's probably the best run he's ever had. I didn't know Greg Gaulding was in the Cup Series, so I apologize to Greg Gaulding, and I apologize to the entire team. I didn't know, but great run for him. Another couple of guys like Trevor Bayne, I think, finished 3rd, so great run for him. Now let's go to the playoff standings. This is something that's really important. I got that in front of me, so I'm going to put that up right there. We got Truex and Keselowski with 1 win, so that's very important, right? Kyle Larson, 29 points. That's pretty much the same gap he had coming in. So he did his job. He was very conservative all race, even though, he crashed out with the Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez incident. But, because they crashed out with so many cars already crashed out, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick, those guys didn't really have that bad of finishes compared to everyone else who had a terrible finish. Denny Hamlin, plus 21. Kevin Harvick, plus 22. They're pretty much good. I think they're safe to make it to the next round as long as no mechanical failures. Chase Elliott, again, I think he's safe. Even though he's 6th, I still think he's safe. That 24 car has shown speed at the 1.5 miles. As long as there's no mechanical... I'm saying they're safe without the mechanical failure thing. If they have a mechanical failure or an issue like that, that could still happen to them. Like Kyle Busch had the flat tire earlier this round, so that stuff could still happen to them, and it is what it is. But I think they're pretty safe. Now we're getting into the cutoff area, which is pretty close. Ryan Blaney, Jimmy Johnson, plus 9, plus 7, but the reason why I'm not confident with Ryan Blaney and Jimmy Johnson is because the guy behind them is Kyle Busch. Now, Kyle Busch, minus 7, I'm expecting him to be very, very good at Kansas. I'm expecting him to probably win a stage, run up front. If he finishes minimum 4th place, and if Jimmy Johnson doesn't get anything in the first stage, he's already equal with Jimmy Johnson on points. So I don't think it's that big of a gap for Kyle Busch. I think he will still make it. I really am worried for Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Blaney. I don't know how they're going to do, especially Ryan Blaney. I'm a little bit worried if he's not going to be able to run that well. Jimmy might be able to run decent enough to get in the top 10, but I'm not expecting him to have a top 5 car. We've seen Chase Elliott have top 5 cars. That's why I'm not really worried about him. Jimmy Johnson, I'm kind of worried. Along with Matt Kenseth. With Matt Kenseth being in a Gibbs car, if he has a really good car, if he's able to run up front, like I said, those 2 Gibbs cars can easily jump over Ryan Blaney and Jimmy Johnson, and I don't know. It's going to be a really big battle between those 4, I think. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Jamie McMurray, I don't see them winning, so I don't see them being able to really get in there. I'm kind of already writing them off, unfortunately. But if they somehow win at Kansas, then, they win. But I really think it's going to be between Ryan Blaney, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Matt Kenseth. As long as everyone has a kind of solid race, I think that's what it's going to be like. Kind of like Chicagoland. Chicagoland, everyone had a pretty solid race, so I think it's going to be just like that. I don't think a lot of people are going to have that many issues at Kansas, but if people do, then that's going to mess everything up. But like I said, I think Truex, Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Harvick, Hamlin, Chase Elliott, I think they're, if you were betting, I think they're safe bets to make it through. Ryan Blaney and Jimmy Johnson, it's a risk because Kyle Busch is behind them along with Matt Kenseth. So that's your playoff standings. Shout out to Dale Earnhardt Jr. He had some magical stuff today. He had angel wings on that car, being able to miss a lot of the wrecks. But the car was a little bit damaged at the end of the race, so he wasn't able to really get up towards the front. But 5th place in his last race at Talladega, not bad. I think I touched on everything. I probably missed a lot of things, but like I said, it was a crazy race. It was complete mayhem. It was insanity. A lot of cautions. Overall, I thought the racing was great. I thought the racing in the first and second stage was really good. The final stage, Chase Elliott kind of created a little bit of a train, so it was kind of single file for a little bit before the big one happened, pretty much. But once the big one happened, it just all mayhem just started to go loose, and that's just how it is. The big one was going to happen because of the aggressiveness. You have guys blocking so much, like the young guns, like Keselowski and Logano. The Gibbs car, sometimes Hamlin's really good at this stuff as well. Those guys will block to hell, and that's just how it is. When you block to hell like that, you're gonna create wrecks. It's gonna happen, and you saw it today. There were pretty much all the incidents. You could say Daniel Suarez. You could say, I think the big one itself was not really a blocking incident. It was just Truex trying to fit into a hole on the outside. But Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano trying to, get into certain holes, that caused the incident. There were many incidents today that could have been kind of avoided, but with the aggressiveness, you have to be so aggressive. If you back out of the throttle, you're screwed. So you got to stay in the throttle. You got to be aggressive. You got to manipulate the air, and that's what you get for this race. I'd give it a B+ to an A-. I think all the wrecks at the end kind of, it got old after a while, having wreck after wreck after wreck. But I don't think that's anything NASCAR could do about that. It's just, I think their circuit package is good. I think it could still be improved. It's very, very air heavy. You really have to manipulate air instead of racing the guys around you. It does create insane blocking, so I can't really complain about that. The blocking worries me in terms of safety reasons, because if, like, let's say Daniel Suarez blocks Chase Elliott in the tri-oval like that, and, you know, Suarez could be flipping. So it's just, it worries me a little bit that it's that much blocking, but it is what it is. The racing is insane. It has me pretty much scared the entire time. So, absolute craziness. One more thing. This guy. That guy. We're moving on to Kansas next week, and we'll see how that goes. Guys, if you like the video, make sure that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the race, and I'll see you guys later. Hope you're having a great day. Peace out.
I can't change. Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, and I can't change. Even if I tried, my love, she keeps me warm.